So David Price squares off against Kash Ali tomorrow night, or Kash Ali, however you want to pronounce it. Sound like Frank Warren here, Muhammad Ali. But yeah, Kash Ali. David Price fights him tomorrow night. They had some pretty amusing exchanges at the press conference yesterday. David Price was uncharacteristically foul-mouthed and aggressive. A lot of people liked that. They found it entertaining. And they also feel like it shows that David Price has the confidence and the meanness going into this fight that he's always lacked. And they're expecting a better performance from him as a result. But I've also seen some other people saying that David Price is acting out of character. He needs to be careful that he doesn't burn up too much energy being angry. And also he needs to be careful that this anger doesn't result in him fighting recklessly and then walking onto a big shot. But as far as the abilities of the two fighters and how the styles match up, I personally, after watching Kash Ali a couple of times, I personally think that Kash Ali is a fairly limited heavyweight. And I think that the ability gap, the ability and the skill gap is very, very wide. David Price is obviously the bigger, taller man. He's got the Olympic pedigree. He's got longer arms. I think he hits harder. They say that Kash Ali's got fast hands. I haven't seen much evidence of it from the fights of his that I've watched. To me, David Price looks just as fast, if not faster, than Kash Ali. He's technically better. I don't know what Kash Ali's chin is like. I don't know what Kash Ali's stamina is like. And of course, David Price has had problems with both of those, chin and stamina. I also don't know what Kash Ali's confidence level is like. David Price, we know, has had confidence issues in the past. And he's kind of fallen apart in some fights in the past as well. Not just physically, but mentally. We know this. Again, I don't know what Kash Ali is like psychologically, how strong he is. He seems, from the interviews I've watched of his in the past few days, he seems to be kind of banking on this idea that David Price is mentally weak and trying to draw confidence from that. I don't know whether that's wise, and it seems as though he was trying to get under David Price's skin. Again, I'm not sure if that's wise. These two have actually sparred in the past, and Kash Ali says he was out of shape when he sparred David Price and Price couldn't do anything, but Price said, you were wearing a full face head guard and we were wearing 20-ounce gloves. So, it doesn't really mean anything. When we're wearing 10-ounce gloves and you ain't got no full face head guard on, we'll see how well you stand up to my punches then, which is fair enough, right? So, yeah, I think that there is a big talent, skill, and experience gap in this fight in David Price's favor. Kash Ali's been around a long time, but he's really fought nobody. I mean, the best win on his record is probably Kamil Sokolovsky. He won that fight by a single point in a 4-rounder. Fought Paul Butlin, David Howe. I mean, he's fought absolutely nobody, let's be real. And Sokolovsky back then, was he the Sokolovsky that we know today? Sokolovsky's a journeyman, but he's a tough and dangerous journeyman. But back then in 2015, was this the same version of Sokolovsky? Was it the same Sokolovsky today who generally comes to win? Sokolovsky recently turned over Nick Webb, right? Knocked him out. So I don't know if it was the same version. Again, I don't want to, withhold any credit from Kash Ali if it is the same Sokolovsky that he beat all those years ago. But I just want to entertain different possibilities here. But yeah, I feel like there's a big skill gap. I feel like Kash Ali is a very limited heavyweight, actually. And even though Pricey is vulnerable and he's been knocked out a bunch of times, the people who he's lost to, I think, are all better than Kash Ali. At the time when David Price fought them anyway. Tony Thompson, Erkan Tepa, Christian Hammer, Alexander Povetkin, obviously, and Sergey Kuzmin. To me, these guys are all better than Kash Ali. So I'm actually expecting David Price to win this fight without much trouble. Kash Ali tends to be quite defensive, so perhaps he'll be able to survive the 10 rounds, move around, make it awkward, come out with the odd counterpunch here and there that Pricey will have to be careful of. But in all honesty, I'm expecting a fairly straightforward night for David Price. because I just think the levels are very, very far apart. And, Kash Ali, whatever you want to call him, I think Dele Ali might have a better chance against David Price, in all honesty. No disrespect, but I've just looked at this guy fight and I don't see much there that's going to trouble Pricey. Unless Pricey comes in very reckless and walks onto something similar to what Kash Ali hit Paul Butlin with. If he hits him with that shot, yeah, maybe Pricey will go down and get knocked out too. But what are the odds? What are the chances of him being able to land that shot? I strongly suspect that Kash Ali will be far more concerned and preoccupied with avoiding David Price's punches than with landing his own. That's my suspicion, but we'll see. In fact, how many of you guys would pick Kash Ali to beat Tom Little? I reckon Tom Little, a motivated Tom Little, he'd have a good chance against Kash Ali. I might even pick him. So again, I don't want to disrespect this Kash Ali guy. It's no disrespect. I don't know him. I've got nothing against him. I'm just being objective and looking at his fights. And I think there's a massive skill gap there, a massive ability gap. And I don't think Kash Ali is anywhere near as good as the people who have beaten David Price in the past. If David Price somehow does lose this fight, it really is the end for him. Eddie Hearn's been saying it, and I know a lot of people have been saying this about David Price for a long time, but look at the guys he's lost to. All of those guys were at least European level, if not world level. Erkan Tapper was European level. You definitely have to say Christian Hammer was European level. Kuzman is probably at least European level. And obviously Tony Thompson at the time was still world level. Povetkin was obviously world level. So Kash Ali levels below those guys, at least at this point. So yeah, if Pricey was to lose, you'd have to knock it on the head as far as I'm concerned. And I don't think I've ever called for Pricey to retire before, have I? You guys correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I've ever called for him to retire before. But if he loses this fight, he really needs to retire, in my opinion, because I'm sure he doesn't want to be competing at area title level for the rest of his career and end up as a journeyman on a British circuit. I'm sure he's got more pride than that, and he would prefer to at least compete at British level, European, Commonwealth, maybe somewhere down the line get a crack at the world title finally. I'm sure he still feels that kind of way. I know he enjoys his fighting, but he's a man with pride. He doesn't want to be humiliated, and I do think he would find fighting at area level, being used as a journeyman, would be humiliating. So yeah, it's a fight he has to win, and it's a fight in which I think he's actually going to have a pretty easy time and will win. We'll see if I end up with egg on my face on Sunday morning. And if I do, and if Kash Ali pulls up, I know he's got a lot of supporters, I guess, in Sheffield and what have you, where he's from. On BoxRec, it says he's from Birmingham, actually. Yeah. Says he resides and was born in Birmingham. Maybe he was born in Birmingham, grew up in Sheffield, then moved back to Birmingham, because he certainly doesn't have a Birmingham accent. He's got more of a Yorkshire accent, from what I can detect. But if he is originally from Birmingham, I'm sure he's got a lot of support there too. So if Kash Ali manages to win, hey, I'll take the criticism. All right. I underestimated the guy if he actually manages to win, but I'm not expecting him to. Let me know how you guys feel in the comment section below. It's happening, I'm out. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.